is well known that Australia is arguably the most dominant country in the sport of rugby league, winning a record 12 World Cups and a record 105 international competitions since 1908. However, some countries have stepped up to beat the Kangaroos and have either had the honour of beating the most dominant country of all time or ended up beating them in a final, winning an international competition for their country. For this list, we will only be considering international matches in the NRL era, which is from 1998 till 2023, with Australia losing a total of 16 times during this period. Whether it was a dominant performance or a surprising upset, this is greatest game of all, and this is every time that Australia lost an international match. Number 16, Great Britain in 2006. Although Australia would end up winning the Tri-Nations thanks to a game-winning try by Darren Lockyer,
first and through, there's support left and right, Lockyer's on the inside, Lockyer!
Great Britain actually upset the Aussies in the fixtures. Jonathan Thurston was also dropped for this match in favour of Dragons half Ben Hornby, who took an intercept late in the first half to set up Greg Inglis for the opening try. Some Sean Long brilliance would set up fullback Paul Wellens to tie the game at 6-all for half time. A benefit of the doubt try to Jamie Peacock straight out of the break was soon answered by Darren Lockyer 10 minutes later. Lee Gilmore would score a great individual try to give Britain the lead.
Gilmore for Britain, yes!
And the match was sealed in the 76th minute with the Gareth Rayner try and Sean Long field goal, giving Great Britain a 23-12 victory. Number 15, New Zealand in 1998. We go back to the start of the NRL era with the 1998 Anzac Test match over in New Zealand. After a penalty goal each early on, some great ball movement from the Aussies led to a Terry Hill try, and the Kangaroos centre would score again from a crossfield kick only 8 minutes later. New Zealand's Kevin Iro hit back before the break, leaving a 12-6 scoreline at half time. The Aussies failed to clean up a New Zealand kick, which led to a Sean Hoppe try, and they hit the lead when Robbie Paul gave a brilliant inside ball to Terry Hermanson. Steve Renouf would score shortly after, but a missed conversion from Matt Rogers would give the Kiwis a 2-point lead, and they would seal the match with 3 minutes remaining thanks to Kevin Iro grabbing his second, giving New Zealand a 22-16 victory.
Back victories for the Kiwis at North Harbour. Kevin Iro gets number 2.
Number 14, New Zealand in 2015. Fast forward 17 years to the only international match for the Aussies in 2015, taking on the Kiwis. Billy Slater was a late withdrawal from the match, with Greg Inglis shifting to fullback and Michael Jennings moving to the centres. A short ball to Sam Thaiday led to the first try, but New Zealand hit back with Manu Vatuvei in the corner. Then the Kiwis went on a rampage, scoring 3 tries in 13 minutes, with Manu Vatuvei getting his double, Sean Johnson scoring a brilliant solo try, and this try from Sean Kenny Dow.
Inglis urgent, he misses the ball!
Marty Tapau and the Kiwis were fired up and confident leading into the break with a 26-6 lead. The Aussies only added another try onto the score, with Will Chambers scoring the 58th minute, leaving the final score at 26-12, becoming the Kiwis' first Anzac Test win since 1998, which was our previous pick. Number 13, Great Britain in 2001. The first Ashes series since 1994 and the first in the NRL era came as a true shock to the Aussies after dominating the World Cup only 12 months prior. A Darren Lockyer kick to complete the opening set went horribly wrong, kicking it straight into Jamie Peacock, who would then score a try from the ricochet. Jason Stevens was controversially allowed to stay on the field after stomping on Terry O'Connor's face trying to play the ball. Britain scored their second try in the 27th minute through Paul Sculthorpe, leading 12-0 at the break. Sculthorpe added an extra point in the 49th minute, with Britain relying heavily on their defence to get them to victory. However, the Kangaroos would start a comeback, with Andrew Johns touching down after a break from their left edge and Adam McDougall crossing only a few minutes later. After a tense final 20 minutes, Paul Sculthorpe would score this try to seal the win for Britain.
Kick into the in-goal area, that's what they need. Sculthorpe! He's over! He has won it for them!
Number 12, New Zealand in 1999. This game was controlled, orchestrated, and dominated by one New Zealand legend, Stacey Jones. The Kiwi halfback simply took over this game in arguably the greatest international match of his career. He was actually involved in every single New Zealand try throughout their first half dominance, setting up Willie Talau.
Brilliant back on the inside!
put Stephen Kearney through the line to set up a Jason Lowry try, did the same thing, but Kearney scored himself and ran laterally from the scrum to set up his right edge, which was finished off by Nigel Vundlinger. The halftime score was a commanding 24-4 lead to the Kiwis, but the Aussies produced a huge comeback in the second half, with tries to Matt Rogers, Brad Fittler and Russell Richardson to come within 2 points with a minute remaining. An unusual kick from prop Rodney Howe on the first tackle ended Australia's hopes of a miracle final minute try, with the Kiwis winning 24-22. Number 11, New Zealand in 2003. Before Australia left for their Ashes tour in 2003, they took on the Kiwis for the second time that year. The first time was a 48-6 thumping, but this time it was a different story. With the Aussies missing a few stars like Andrew Johns and Gordon Tallis, they were still up for the challenge, scoring the opening 2 tries through Brett Kimmorley and Steve Simpson, but the Kiwis scored 3 straight tries leading into the break, with Vinnie Anderson, Henry Farfili and Clinton Torpey touching down, giving them a 14-10 halftime lead. The Aussies reclaimed the lead through Shane Webke, but Clinton Torpey would score 2 tries in only 3 minutes, completing his hat-trick and giving his country a huge 30-16 victory.
Still not stopped, and Lulaway sprang up and got the ball. Now it's with Torpey. Torpey's looking at the line, try 3.
Number 10, Great Britain in 2004. During the fixtures of the 2004 Tri-Nations series, Great Britain were able to seek revenge after their extremely close Ashes series the previous year. A Brett Kimmorley crossfield kick hit Luke Rooney on the chest for opening points, but after that, the Lions dominated the rest of the first half, with Terry Newton, Stuart Reardon and this brilliant try finished off by Stuart Fielden.
This is Maguire. Maguire helps it on, and here now there's a chance. This is Stuart Fielden. Oh, get up Fielden, he does.
A brilliant short ball from Kimmorley to O'Mealy would narrow the gap to 6, but that's as far as the Aussies got, with some exceptional Great Britain defence holding out the Aussies, which was rewarded with a late Keith Senior runaway try late in the match, holding on to a 24-12 victory. Number 9, New Zealand in 2005. 66 points were scored in this opening match of the Tri-Nations series in 2005, with huge momentum shifts throughout the match. Kangaroos winger Tamata Tahu did his hamstring early, causing a huge reshuffle for the Aussies, which included prop Trent Waterhouse coming on in the centres. Clinton Torpey came firing out of the blocks, linking with Stacey Jones on his inside for opening points, and scored down the left edge only 2 minutes later. Brent Webb would score this brilliant try to extend New Zealand's lead.
Webb, the man that put the kick in, he throws the dummy and scores another try.
But the Aussies scored a whopping 4 tries in only 8 minutes of play, with Brent Tate scoring a great 88-metre solo try, which included 3 devastating fends. Andrew Johns crossing over, Mark Gasnier in the corner and Tate scoring his double, which tied the game up at 18 all at half time. Matt King would continue the momentum out of the break, scoring in the 47th minute, but the Kiwis hit back with some second phase play finished off by Nathan Kalis, and Nigel Vundlinger scored a few minutes after. Mark Gasnier scored late to give the Aussies some hope, but it was all too late when Clinton Torpey scored his hat-trick, leaving the final score at 38-28. Number 8, New Zealand in 2018. With no Jonathan Thurston, Billy Slater, Cooper Cronk and Cameron Smith, it was going to be a huge test to see if the next generation of Aussies could maintain Kangaroo dominance on the international stage in 2018. Valentine Holmes would score early, but New Zealand hit back with 2 tries, which included a tunnel ball pass from Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, finished off by Ken Mamalo, and Joey Manu on the other side of the field. Dan Gagai was able to score just before half time, with the score being 12-8. The Kiwis dominated most of the second half, with tries to Brandon Smith, Isan Masters, and this try to Jordan Rapana.
It's Rapana!
2 late tries from Felice Kafusi and James Tedesco wouldn't be enough for the Aussies, as they fell 2 points short, going down 26-24. Number 7, Tonga in 2019. For the first time in the country's history, Tonga beat Australia. A country with a population of 105,000 people beat a country with 25 million people, producing one of the biggest upsets in international rugby league history. It took 20 minutes until first points, with Will Hopewado scooting from dummy half to slide under the sticks, but the Aussies hit back quickly with Jack Whiten and Paul Vaughan crossing over, giving them a 12-6 lead at the break. Michael Jennings scored straight out of the break, and then a barnstorming run from Tavita Pangai Jr. crashed over to give Tonga the lead. The 25 minutes after that was some of the best defense you'll see, as Tonga kept the best team in the world scoreless throughout the whole second half, holding on for a 16-12 huge victory. Number 6, New Zealand in 2014. A sign of what was to come for the Kiwis in this 2014 Four Nations competition, as the reigning world champs were in for a real tough series. The first half went try for try, with Cooper Cronk putting Beau Scott through a gap to score the first try, but Jason Nightingale bombed a certain try to hit back. Luckily, Kevin Proctor showed a great show of strength to score. Greg Inglis would score, and New Zealand hit back once again through Lewis Brown, locking up the scores at 12-all at the break. The second half was all the Kiwis, scoring 3 tries, which included this great individual try from Shaun Johnson.
Johnson.
A crossfield kick from Kieran Four in the Dean Fare, and Jason Nightingale in the corner, leaving the final score at 30-12 and winning the second half 18-0. Number 5, New Zealand in 2014. Coming off that huge win, it was time for the Kiwis to do it all again in the final, with the Four Nations up for grabs. They needed someone to step up to make this happen, and that person was Shaun Johnson, having a hand in 3 of their 4 tries. A Cooper Cronk crossfield kick to Michael Jennings would open the scoring, with New Zealand hitting back on their right edge through Jason Nightingale. The Kiwis were able to kick a penalty goal and score from a Shaun Johnson cutout pass to Manu Vatuvei to lead the Aussies by 8 at the break. Australia scored through Sione Matautia out of the break, and some Shaun Johnson magic produced one of the great solo tries.
Inside the Kangaroos half, Johnson works. Oh, Johnson! Look at the speed! Look at the speed!
Vatuvei would score in the corner not long after, and a controversial pass to Ben Hunt led to the Aussies narrowing the gap to 4 with 4 minutes to go. A last-ditch effort in the final minute looked to have been successful for the Aussies, but another controversial pass was called forward, meaning the Kiwis held on for a 22-18 Four Nations victory. Number 4, New Zealand in 2005. With no Darren Lockyer or Andrew Johns, it was definitely going to be a challenge for the Aussies in this Tri-Nations final in 2005. But not many people were expecting the challenge to be this overwhelming. It only took a couple of minutes for them to open the scoring through Paul Whatuira, and a bit of a scrap between David Kidwell and Luke O'Donnell had tensions boiling before Manu Vatuvei scored 2 tries in 5 minutes. One in the corner, the other was from a crossfield kick, meaning it was a 16-0 scoreline at the break. A controversial try was awarded to Brent Webb, with many claiming that Trent Barrett was obstructed.
I think he might have. I think there'll be no try.
A few penalty goals late would conclude one of the most dominant performances in New Zealand history, beating the Aussies 24-0, which was the first time the Kangaroos lost a major tournament in 27 years. Number 3, New Zealand in 2010. 5 years later, it was the incredible Four Nations final in 2010, with the competition coming down to the final play of the match. Australia were undefeated throughout the whole year and simply had to win this match to complete a perfect tournament. Lance O'Hire would fail to clean up a Darren Lockyer grubber, which led to a Brent Tate try, but a debatable pass from Marshall to Kenny Dow left the score locked up at 6-all at half time. With some excellent ball movement from the Aussies led to a 57th minute try to Billy Slater, and it would take until the 70th minute for Benji Marshall to step up and produce a fantastic kick for Jason Nightingale to score, but a conversion attempt hit the post, meaning the Kiwis would trail by 2 points. Then, with 2 minutes remaining, a Benji Marshall inspired break down the right edge led to this Nathan Feen tournament winning try.
Nightingale down the right flank. The ball was touched by Australia. He's heading for the post. Marshall throws the ball.
Number 2, New Zealand in 2023. The most recent loss from the Aussies was a huge surprise in itself, but the scoreline was not what many people expected, with the Kiwis completely dominating the Kangaroos, giving them their first loss in 4 years. The Aussies actually beat the Kiwis 36-18 only 1 week prior, making this a truly unbelievable victory. Both wingers would cross for New Zealand in the first half, with Ronaldo Mulitalo not only scoring, but put on a massive hit on Valentine Holmes. Jermaine Asako also scored, with the Kiwis leading 12-0 at the break. Asako would score out of the break, just grounding the ball in the field of play. Matt Timoko showed some good speed down their left edge, leading to a try. The Aussie had 47 missed tackles in the match, and Griffin Neame influenced a few of those, scoring his first international try in only his third match. The final score ended up being 30-0, which is Australia's biggest losing margin on this list, and the Kiwis would win the inaugural Pacific Championship. And number 1, New Zealand in 2008. Ever since 1972, Australia has held the World Cup, except for when New Zealand shocked the Rugby League world, beating the Aussies in the 2008 World Cup final, which is the Kangaroos' only loss in a World Cup match since 1995. At $6.25 outsiders in front of a packed Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane, and coming up against the spine of Slater, Lockyer, Thurston and Smith, New Zealand produced one of the biggest upsets in the sport's history. A kick from Nathan Fien to his halves partner Benji Marshall almost opened up the scoring, but Marshall couldn't ground the ball. The Aussies made them pay through a Billy Slater break, setting up his skipper Darren Lockyer, and David Williams added to the total. Jeremy Smith showed his strength by breaking the Aussies' middle defence to score under the sticks, and a one-on-one strip by the Aussies led to a Jerome Rapate try. Darren Lockyer would grab his second just before the break to give the Aussies a 16-12 lead. The Kiwis were first to score in the second half through Lance O'Hire, and then this brain snap from Billy Slater led to this Benji Marshall try. Greg Inglis would score in the corner, and a controversial penalty was awarded to the Kiwis, with Lance O'Hire being taken out by Joel Monahan in pursuit of the ball. An Adam Blair try in the final 5 minutes would seal a famous victory for the Kiwis, winning the World Cup for the first time in the country's history. And to make it even more sweeter, it was one of 16 times that Australia lost since 1998.
So, what did you think of our list? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, chuck us a like on Facebook and this video, follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our channel for more Rugby League Countdowns.